something. When a building is erected, it doesn't matter whether it's a commercial building or whether it is a personal building, somebody's home, estate, whatever, there needs to be approval, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So somebody is looking through everything that you have and then is telling you, and they don't just look at the building and the materials and whomever is on the project, they're looking at the land as well, isn't it?
Yes.
So if somebody builds on riparian land, for example, like the ones we saw that came down the other day, somebody gave approval for that to happen.
Yes. And sometimes when you hear the approving authority talk about it, they'll say, maybe that's not what they approved. I've seen some of such comments by approving authorities when they come on media, like they come here and they'll say, no, that is not what we approved. But what is being implemented is different. How did it change? Yeah. Was there an enforcement that said stop construction? Some you see, they will say, yes, we have stopped construction, but it still goes on because maybe there's political interference. So there's a lot of issues we're having to grapple with. There's corruption, there's political interference, there's whatnot. But there are times when you have seen actually buildings being brought down. Yeah. We've seen buildings being brought down that have been, you're on Riparian, you have to come down. And we see them actually come down. We have seen that happen in this country before. Why others are able to come up and not be brought down is a question of either political interference or corruption. Somewhere in the value chain.
So how do you apply balance? Because it provides a case for anybody that will probably hold up in any court of law when it says, how do you apply this to me and then not to another person? Because we all got the approval somewhere down the line, whether you remember that this was riparian land or not, or whether then the thing comes up for you to create space for flood passage and all of that. How does somebody now say, or how do you now create the balance for this person who's gone through unimaginable loss after they finished their house? They've taken pictures, they've sent to everybody. How do you then say, well, it's coming down? Because the blanket destruction of this property is not asking questions. The brutality of this process doesn't stop to ask, who approved? Yes. Let me see the document. Who told you that you can go ahead? Those questions are not asked.
It's interesting, because the failures we are seeing around the physical environment are now manifesting in the fact that we have to go to court for physical. Now courts are the ones who are running the physical environment, unfortunately. So there's been now a lot of jurisprudence around these issues of demolitions and the riparians. And if we are going to fall back first to the law, what does the law say? Or what does jurisprudence say? What have the courts determined? And one of the clear things is that riparian land must be protected. That goes without saying. Yeah. However, your approvals were procured. However, whoever, supervised your work, whether it was on riparian land, that now becomes absolutely secondary. The first thing is that riparian land must be protected. Then the second thing that the courts have been particularly clear about is now how is the regularization going to happen? Yes, we find ourselves in a situation where you've been marked